It's my first time in Germany, and after I got here, I found I got something very wrong. I thought this will be kind of academic conf, but currently I found it's an all-day talk show. So, well, I'll try my best. So, during my trip to Berlin, I'm using an app to record what is happening, and the name of this app is called Affine. In Affine, you can use the document just like Notion, but with a single click, you can switch it into a whiteboard, and it can be used to draw and put things together and visualize things and kind of like that. So let's just jump into this whiteboard, and you can do a presentation using whiteboard. Well, let's get started. My topic is about streaming a collaborative file system. Well, although it is not a product feature in Affine yet, but it's something we have been recently exploring on and found it very interesting and possibly generic based on our architecture. So, well, another brief introduction about Affine. The slogan is about write, draw, and plan all at once, an open source, local first knowledge base that allows you to create isomorphic documents and whiteboards. Then they are all block-based, so that you can visualize and organize your content with more flexibility. Affine was launched 2 years ago and has already got more than 30,000 stars on GitHub and was ranked #2 product of the week on Product Hunt recently. But under the hood, thank you. But under the hood, besides these product level popularities, Affine is also heavily influenced by the local first paper by, you know. So the ideas of having user owning the data and using extensively the CRDTs really affect many our design decisions, and I will walk through that in a minute. So here is a brief demo about Affine under the hood. Well, it's actually a whiteboard, so I can zoom in and zoom out. And well, in Affine, you can create multiple workspaces, and in each workspace you can create multiple documents, and both the documents and the workspace itself will be modeled as a set of YJS whitedocs. And when you are editing, all the YJS binary updates will be recorded directly into the local DB, which is IndexedDB in browser and SQLite in Electron. This whole process happens locally, which means that the cloud workspace is optional, and you can connect a workspace to the cloud. And if you do that, it will distribute all the updates to a cloud server and works exactly like a Git upstream. And since Affine it works in this way, currently it will try to resync the workspace on init, including every time you open the client, which, well, just fine. But if you are sharing one document in a workspace to another people, and if you open that link in that browser tab, it still will try to eventually sync all the workspace. So there are rooms to improve, right? And currently we have done some optimizations in the product, including we can stream multiple whitedocs over one WebSocket connection, and we can load the active whitedocs with a high-risk priority, and we can also avoid doing the per doc diff by maintaining an external clock for the docs. So to some extent, we are already streaming the workspace. However, there are still some trade-offs. For example, sending the all workspace over the wire, even if you only want to share one document, that could be a little bit redundant. And eventually, when synced, all the documents will be loaded into a browser memory, which will hit a cap of about 4 gigabytes of memories. And also, since all the documents are stored as raw CRDT binaries, it's kind of inconvenient to having a file concept for user to view. I mean, if you have a document with 1,000 blocks, having a CSV export, but you cannot export it back, import it back, doesn't make too much sense. Like, I'm not sure if you know what I'm speaking of. Well, so to the next page. So here comes the idea to go through efficient and generic streaming, which by saying efficient, it means to support a partial and on-demand data syncing that doesn't always require a replicated sync, but also remain collaborative. And by generic, it means to having the generic file concept so that no matter what data structure you're using, you can have the files as a projection that user can feel so that you can not only collaborate like Google Docs or Notion, but also write and edit like the Obsidian and VS Code. So here comes a very simple demo. That is just a Note app. Well, it's not Affine itself, but the editor here is just exactly the same with Affine. And the editor here we built called Block Suite is built native on YJS. So this just shares exactly the same architecture with Affine. It has the web version, have the Tori client. But what's interesting is that if you open the macOS Finder, you can see it's mounted as a web dev server. Yeah. And in this way, when you open that in VS Code, you can see the doc.json, and now you can see, oh, they are just simply connected. But when you are editing the files here, you will not directly mutate the JSON. That it's just a read-only projection for now, but instead it will establish a link to the server and perform the process that collaborates. Okay, so back to the slide. In what I have just shown, the idea is about kind of combining different streaming types. And in this diagram, there are two different colors of lines. The green lines here refers to so-called single YDoc syncing. This can be done using typical YJS providers like WebSockets, and it's not very hard to set it up. But the difference here is that what if you can have different multiple server instances so that different clients can connect to different servers? For example, inside Electron client, it can connect to a local node server, and inside a browser URL, you can connect to the cloud server. The actual sync happens between these server instances. Then it is so-called a batch YDoc syncing, and here we'll refer to something that should complete the loop. It's a new community project called YStream, and it is developed by Yifeng Wang, the creator of YJS, and it's find it very interesting for doing the batch syncing of YDocs. Well, in the past few weeks, I've been working with Kevin to test it out, and I found it very interesting since it supports the features like efficient encoding for the multiple YDocs instead of having one binaries per doc. And you can also use it to trigger doc level updates without loading YDocs into memory, which is very much more efficient. And it's also a multi-master syncing so that it can make the sync between the server instances much more practical. And for more technical details, I believe Kevin will have a more interesting walkthrough in the Expo Day tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. Well, and that's exactly all for my talk, and I have put some useful links here, and including the Affine repository, the editor here used called Block Suite, and the new demo called Node Suite, and eventually the YStream that Kevin is currently building. Thank you, and hope this could be helpful for everyone. Thanks.